IGP renders apology to Lamashegu chief over disturbances as 2 police officers face trial.
Call for stringent measures in dealing with proliferation of small arms and light weapons.
And Africa's top oil producer, Nigeria, experiencing acute shortage of fuel following adulterated fuel quarantine.
You're welcome to News Hour, comes to you live on GBC News and GTV. I'm Siyoko Kwakutra. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Shirley and Anore Frimpong Manso will translate the news into sign language. The Inspector General of Police has rendered an apology to the chief and people of Lamashegu over Sunday's incident in which 1 person died and 8 others injured.
The Director General of Administration, Ghana Police Service COP Christian Tete Yonu, rendered the apology in a meeting with the chief of Lamashegu on Wednesday. The Director General of Administration of the Ghana Police Service, COP, Mr. Christian Teteyonu, and the Northern Regional Minister, Sani Al-Hassan Shaibu, led the delegation to the Lamashegu Chief's Palace to commiserate with him following Sunday's disturbances that led to the death of 18-year-old Abdul Hakim Yakubu. During the meeting, the Deputy IGP conveyed the condolences of the IGP to the chief for the loss of life and thanked him for saving the life of a police officer who sought refuge under the chief.
We thank Lamashegu for this kind gesture, for the good heart that he has exhibited to bring peace that we have come to meet here. Thank you so much.
The delegation also called on the family of the bereaved to commiserate with them. The delegation then visited the injured who are on admission at the Tamale Teaching Hospital. Personnel at the hospital assured the delegation that the patients were receiving good care and showing very good signs of recovery.
A team of investigators have been dispatched to assist in the case involving a shooting incident that took place at Lamashegu in the northern region between the youth and the police on Sunday, February 13, 2022. The shooting claimed the life of an 18-year-old boy awaiting his BEC results and also injured a number of people who are currently receiving treatment. In an earlier interview, GBC News, a foreign policy and security analyst, Mr. Adib Sani, called on government to put the right structures in place, including enhancing institutional capacity to deal with the issues of the proliferation of small arms and light weapons.
Small Arms Commission is an advisory body that is actually supposed to be a regulator. If you are an advisory body, not much you can do to be able to effectively deal with the issue of proliferation of small arms and light weapons. We have a fledgling local gun manufacturing industry in Ghana, especially if you go to areas such as Alavanyo, Konya, Kumasi, Buku, and other parts of the country. These are usually metal fabricators or welders who have shops, but they have an inner part where they produce these weapons. And the worrying part of it is that they have gone beyond the production of handguns, the ones we call pistols, like the Berettas, the Smith & Wessons, the Stixa, the Glocks, to the production of assault rifles like the AK-47s, the G3s, the AR-15s, the M16s, etc., which I must say is worrying and we don't seem to be paying attention to. Secondly, because of the porous nature of our borders, okay, a lot of these weapons are able to come into these countries through unapproved routes, okay, and that also is a bit of a worry and poses an existential threat to the security of the state. So until we put the right structures in place, which would include enhancing institutional capacity, education, improved intelligence, improved border security, we'll still have serious issues with the proliferation of arms.
The Abno Regional Chairman of the governing New Patriotic Party, Mr. Kwame Bafo, has been granted 100,000 cedis bill by the Accra Circuit Court 8 with two sureties who must deposit their passports at the court registry. Mr. Bafo, popularly known as Abronya DC, was arrested for allegedly claiming that former President John Mahama was plotting a coup. He was invited by the police on Tuesday, February 16, and detained after questioning. The case has been adjourned to March 9, 2022. Mr. Kwame Bafo, best known as Abronya DC, was charged with publication of false news and offensive conduct conducive to the breach of peace. He pleaded not guilty to the charge. His lawyers, arguing for bail, told the Accra Circuit Court 8 that their client is a well-known person with 2 places of abode in the country. They gave the assurance that he would surrender himself to the court anytime he was required to do so. The prosecution was not opposed to the plea for bail. The judge also noted that the case was a misdemeanor and accordingly granted him bail. Mr. Bafo pleaded not guilty to all counts of the charges. The police have submitted that a preliminary investigation has established that Mr. Kwame Bafo's claims against former President John Mahama are untrue and likely to occasion a breach of the peace. Mr. Bafo is alleged to have said that Mr. John Mahama had met with Al-Qaeda militants to engage them on how to topple the government. He claimed that Mr. Mahama approached the group in a bid to help him become president again. The NPP communicator made these claims on a private radio station while responding to the arrest of the #FixTheCountry convener Oliver Mausi Baka.
I have been advised by my counsel not to respond to this populist arrest that was effected by the IGP. I think the next court date is on the 9th. But what I would like to say is that no amount of this populist incarceration would enjoin me from voicing out or speaking my mind. In the coming days, from tomorrow going, I'll come out with some personal issues that I have with the IGP, which has nothing to do with this particular case.
You're still watching News Hour Live on GBC News. The transition of Ghana and Guyana to the status of developed economies will largely depend on adding value to their hydrocarbon resources, says President Akufo-Addo. At the first International Energy Conference and Expo in Georgetown, the capital of Guyana, President Akufo-Addo told the gathering that a major challenge confronting Ghana is how to develop the oil and gas industry with optimal local content and participation, hence the passage of the local content law.
Accra kicked off commercial oil production in 2010, while Georgetown joined the elite club in 2019. The new kid on the block, Guyana, proudly has approximately 9 billion barrels of oil, which is 3 times higher than that of Ghana. But with the determination not to toe the path of countries unable to make judicious use of their oil resources, Accra and Georgetown have resolved to share the experience and improve the lot of their citizens. At a maiden International Energy Conference and Expo in Georgetown, attended by President Akufo-Addo and his peers from Guyana, Suriname and Prime Minister of Barbados, Ghana was touted as a model case in Africa in the management of oil and gas resources.
We must provide our human resources with the best possible training through access, affordability, and equity. And we're investing to do this beginning this year. With our strategic partners, together we are building out this capacity in giving the private sector, every Guyanese, the training to actively participate in the future development of our country.
In charting this transition, we must recognize that others have gone before us and had profited from the earned revenues to develop a modern economy and create a future path of economic development where oil and gas may not play such a significant role anymore.
President Akufo-Addo, to ensure that Ghanaians become active players in the oil and gas industry, a local content law was passed in 2010.
We resolved soon after our oil discovery to improve the legal, regulatory, and institutional framework for the efficient management of our oil and gas industry. To demonstrate further our commitment to ensuring transparency and accountability, Ghana set up a Public Interest and Accountability Committee, PIAC, to deal with challenges relating to transparency and accountability with respect to the use of petroleum revenues. Ghana has also signed up to the Extractive Industry Transparent Initiatives in relation to oil and gas, which requires that we publish revenues from petroleum resources and agree to use these resources efficiently for the benefit of our people.
With some resources endowed nations in Africa failing to achieve sustainable development resources, President Akufo-Addo says Ghana has implemented a number of policies and initiatives to change the narrative. Edward Nyakum, reporting for GBC News.
Reducing the impact of droughts and floods in the Volta Basin is the thrust of a national workshop underway in Accra. Participants were drawn from the Water Resources Commission and other players within the water management system in the country.
As part of its core mandate, the Water Resource Commission is responsible for ensuring that water bodies are kept in a good state for proper consumption. In view of this, the Commission, in partnership with other stakeholders, have joined hands to mitigate the effects of climate change, including drought and flood in the Volta Basin. The Volta Basin consists of the Volta River and its tributaries and sub-tributaries, which extends about 400,000 kilometers square and shared by Benin, Burkina Faso, Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, Mali, and Togo. The Executive Director of the Volta Basin Authority, Mr. Ben Ampoma, gave a general overview of the workshop.
We want to build capacity in terms of nature-based solutions and then move on to develop bankable projects that we can sell to the private sector, the financial institutions, with a view to ensure that we can restore the lost water resources and ecosystems that we have. We want to focus on the Volta Basin, which I should say that contributes 70% of the water resources that we enjoy in this country.
The workshop will address global challenges such as climate change, risk management, health, access to water, and food security.
The University Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG, says the association is consulting with their lawyers on the way forward following an order from the Labour Division of the Accra High Court on Tuesday, February 15, 2022, to call off their strike. The order follows an application for interlocutory injunction moved by the National Labour Commission to compel the striking union to go back to work pending determination of the substantive matter, which has to do with the enforcement of the NLC's directive to UTAG to call off the 5-week-old strike. The president of the University of Ghana chapter of UTAG, Mr. Samuel Nkuban, spoke to GBC News in an earlier interview.
Expectation is that we would get this certified order which details what it is that the court has ordered, what it is that the responsibility is on UTAG to do or not to do within the period of injunction, which is my understanding that is over the next 7 days. And so once we get that, then of course we would have to look at what is legally possible also, in order that we do not go on the wrong side of the law by way of abiding by the directive of the court. Between now and Monday, we would make a determination which would be made public also based on the receipt of these orders. We are yet to get to the bridge at which our lawyers advise on our next course of action, or that there may be legal options for us to pursue, leading to ensuring that we get government attend to our needs.
Be proactive and engage labor even when there is no unrest to know their needs. This was the advice given to the 7-member board of the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission when they were being inaugurated by the Minister for Employment and Labour Relations, Mr. Ignatius Bafwewa in Accra.
The Fair Wages and Salaries Commission has the mandate to implement the single spine pay policy, salaries, wages, grading and classification of the payroll. Currently, there are a number of challenges facing labor, with the UTAG issues taking a center stage. Inaugurating the 7-member board, chaired by Mr. Michael Nimako in Accra, the Minister for Employment and Labor Relations, Mr. Ignatius Bafwewa, called for the constant communication between labor and the Commission and solve labor challenges before they escalate.
Fair Wages and Salaries Commission that we are going to manage. The challenges of yesteryears are far different from the challenges of tomorrow, today and tomorrow. Because even at the early stages of our second mandate, we are seeing signs of turbulence on the labor front. And usually it has to do with one form of condition of service or the other. They are so interrelated that if you are handling them and you are not very careful, you might think that, oh, I'm dealing with this particular union, before you realize it has escalated to some other union.
The board chairman, Mr. Michael Nimako, pledged the board's commitment to be hands-on in dealing with issues involving labor unrest.
So I want to assure you that, first, I'm honored to be made the chairman, and I'm also giving you my word that I'm prepared to steer the ship.
The Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, FWSC, has over the years advocated the setting up of an independent emoluments commission to streamline salary administration in the country. This, the commission believes, would help solve challenges facing organized labor.
Investment experts are advising Ghanaians to use life insurance as part of a plan to build wealth fast. The various speakers at the University of Ghana Business School Alumni Association public lecture were of the view that with a good policy, it is possible to save for the future, invest money in goal-oriented instruments, and protect their families from financial uncertainty.
It is possible to build wealth from nothing. The experts say the first step is to understand how to build wealth and how to protect against any eventuality. Insurance is a process to protect the interest of people from loss and uncertainty. Some describe it as a social device to reduce or eliminate risk of loss to life and property. To industry players, insurance provides financial support and reduces uncertainties in business and human life while providing a safety and security against a particular event. An insurance policy provides a cover against any sudden loss. However, most Africans do not use insurance policies to create wealth. The Chocolate Day public lecture by the Alumni Association of the University of Ghana Business School was to enlighten the public on how to use insurance to generate wealth.
In the process of creating wealth, there are many risks. And if you really are concerned about protecting the wealth that you create, the best way you want to do that is to make sure that there's some protection for you, so that when the unexpected happens, you are able to have something to rely on to recoup your business or to recover your business or to get back into business.
The Deputy Commissioner of Insurance of the National Insurance Commission, Mr. Michael Ando, said insurance is wealth and must be treated as such. A lead financial services strategy and customer solutions manager at KPMG, Mr. Robert Jato, said insurance is a means of investment and Ghanaians must look to it as a sustainable source of income.
I generally also think that we need to really deepen education. Now, there's a perception out there that, it's easy to sell insurance or easy to buy an insurance policy. But when it comes to making claims, the experience is not great. And therefore, people don't see the value. The other side is really maybe a bit more intriguing, which is that people have policies that families don't know, and therefore they really don't get the benefits in the event that something happens.
The lecture was questioned insurance, an integral part of household wealth and management.
You're watching News Hour live on GBC News, your news and governance. Take a break. When we come back, we'll do some business news, please.
Hello, you're watching the business news brought to you by Quick Credit and MTN. My name is Esther Edu Ohumeu. Earnings from Ghana's honey export in 2019 was below $3,000. To scale up production and ensure that honey from Ghana meets standards of the international market, the Center for Scientific and Industrial Research has launched the Make Ghana's Honey Fit for Export project in Accra. In value terms, the largest markets for honey exported from Ghana in 2019 were the United States, amounting to $1,100, Canada at $1,000, and the UK at $247. These three countries together accounted for 49% of total honey exports from Ghana. To increase Ghana's honey exports to other markets across the globe, the Center for Scientific and Industrial Research Food Research Institute has launched the Make Ghana's Honey Fit for Export project in Accra. The acting director of the Center for Scientific and Industrial Research Food Research Institute, Professor Charles Toto, said the project is to enable the country achieve $1 trillion sector in 2030 as projected by the World Bank.
We have quality challenges on our honey that we export and even use locally. So this project is to support us with the training of our honey keepers, the training of our packers, and then the value addition on honey.
The project coordinator, Dr. Courage Bessa Adamu, indicated that the project is to ensure that honey produced from Ghana meets the standards of shelves on the international market. The chief executive of the Chamber of Agribusiness, Mr. Anthony Morrison, said the national honey production and investment policy will soon be launched to regulate the operations of honey producers and their honey exports.
We should be able to properly have an industry that is fully backed by a policy. We are looking at how to position the Ghana's honey market for export. We are doing quite a number of volume, but nowhere near what we should be able to do.
The chairman of the Beekeepers Association, Patrick Ado-Newman, said the Make Ghana's Honey Fit for Export project would go a long way to educate honey producers on the kinds of honey to be produced and for which markets they can be exported. The producer price inflation for January 2022 is 15.6%. The figure indicates a 0.9 percentage point increment in producer inflation relative to the 14.7% recorded in December 2021. The year-on-year producer inflation for all industry was 15.6% in January 2022, with a monthly change rate of 4.0%. The producer inflation for the manufacturing subsector, which constitutes more than two-thirds of the total industry, increased by 0.8 percentage points to record 22.9%. The utility subsector recorded 0.3% inflation rate for January 2022. The manufacturing subsector recorded the highest year-on-year producer price inflation of 22.9%, followed by the mining and quarry subsector with 2.2%. The utility subsector had the lowest year-on-year producer inflation of 0.3%. In January 2022, 2 out of the 16 major groups in the manufacturing subsector recorded inflation rates higher than the sector average of 22.9%. The manufacturing of coke, refined petroleum products and nuclear fuel recorded the highest inflation rate of 35.0%. The utility subsector attained the least inflation of 0.1% for January 2022. We will take the interbank and commodity figures for the day.